How do we get roped into weaponized suffering? It's the systems of oppression and the matrix of conditioning. From birth, we're given labels based on race, gender, class, family status, and so on. And these labels come with invisible and sometimes very visible rules about what we can and cannot do. So if you grow up believing these limitations were absolute truth, it can feel like you were just unlucky, that you were born into the wrong family, social class situation, and that suffering is just your fate. So when people internalize these societal limitations, they unconsciously cling to suffering as a form of their identity. If society tells you that you will never break free of financial struggle, or that certain people will always have it easier than you, it can be very tempting to stay in a loop of resentment and hopelessness. But that's the fucking trap, because as long as you believe those limits, you will never find your way out. The truth is, reality doesn't work the way that we've been taught. The system wants people to stay in struggle because disempowered people are easier to control. Disempowered people reinforce the systems. Like, even your healing journey is hijacked by the system. These oppressive systems depend on you staying stuck in your trauma. And they've designed 1,000 ways to block your progress, even when you're actively trying to heal. Instead of addressing the systemic issues that actually cause trauma, poverty, racism, sexism, classism, the system turns trauma into a personal failure. We're taught that anxiety, depression, and burnout are just individual problems, when in reality, they are the response to an oppressive environment. So then this shifts blame from the system to the individual, keeping people in a loop of self-doubt and shame. And many of us are raised to believe that putting ourselves first is selfish, especially those conditioned under patriarchy and religious dogma. This leads to self-abandonment and burnout, keeping everybody in cycles of overgiving and under-receiving. When you feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs, you stay stuck. And then there's economic barriers. True healing actually requires time and patience and resources and access to support. These systems ensure that many people, especially marginalized ones, are constantly in survival mode, struggling to meet their basic needs. And this keeps healing inaccessible or deprioritized, reinforcing that cycle of trauma. And oppression thrives on the belief that change isn't possible. If people believe that they will always struggle, or that healing is a luxury, or that they are inherently broken, they are less likely to seek help. It's this learned helplessness that keeps people disempowered. Even the wellness industries push this endless fixing instead of true liberation. I say this respectfully, but you should not be in therapy for 10 years. And it's not even your therapist's fault for that, because they too are lost in this conditioning. If you can just get grounded enough to step outside of your victimhood, you will see all of the cracks in the illusion. The system is so fucking good that they will label people like me as crazy. The spiritual community is labeled as crazy, when in reality, spirituality is healing. It's like they look at every single angle to keep you feeling powerless. But once you see the game, you stop playing by their rules. Healing becomes learning tools to deprogram your mind and your body. That's all you need. But it takes accepting that limitations were programmed into you. They're not inherent truths. From there, you can start making choices from a place of personal power rather than societal expectations. Yes, some people are born with privileges. Privilege is very real within this framework. But again, it is designed that way. Privilege does not mean limitless freedom. It just means different challenges. The real question is, do you believe these external structures define your life? Or do you see them as part of the illusion designed to keep you playing small? Because the system wants you to believe that your potential is capped. But the moment you stop accepting that framework as your reality, you start to see all of the cracks in the illusion. And that is where your power begins. I cover all of this in my series, Seeing the Unseen. It's time to wake up.